Oh, oh God. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Gabester here. This is the normal quick rate guide for Shaw of Pride. And feel free to click on the annotations on your screen to see a variety of different videos for this encounter. So let's get started. So the main mechanic for this encounter is Pride. And this is a bar for every individual player that will fill up over time as the player gains Pride from a huge number of different methods. So here on the screen you can see the list of all the ways that you can gain Pride. I won't cover them all in detail in this guide. You can get more information on the full guide if you'd like, or the role-specific guides. But suffice to say, there are tons of ways to actually gain Pride, and the majority of them are avoidable. So the goal here for any individual player is to avoid as much Pride gain as possible, because the more Pride you have, especially later in the fight, the more dangerous abilities will be used on you, and that will need to be avoided by the raid in general. So for Pride's actual effect, the main thing is that every 1 minute 15 seconds, the boss will use Swelling Pride. And when this is cast, in addition to doing heavy damage to the entire raid, it will cause an extra special ability for any player at 25 or higher Pride at the time. So if you have 25 to 49 Pride, you'll spawn a Bursting Pride orb at your location, which will damage and give Pride to anyone near it. If you're between 50 and 74 Pride, you'll get Projection, which will create a little blue marker around you in a random location. And after 6 seconds, you have to be standing on that location, or else an AE will hit the raid, giving everyone Pride. If you're between 75 and 99, Aura of Pride will occur around you for 20 seconds, which basically does massive damage and gives Pride to anyone within 5 yards. So if you have 75 plus, make sure you're far away from the rest of the raid when Swelling Pride is being cast. And finally, if you hit 100 Pride and Swelling Pride goes off, you'll be charmed, and you can't break the charm other than dying. So for the most part, you shouldn't really be dealing with any of the mechanics that are below or above 75 or higher Pride. If you reach that level of Pride, it means you're messing up something pretty fundamental in this fight, and you should, rethink your overall tactics. Otherwise, if you get Bursting Pride, you'll see the purple ball on the ground when it goes off. So just step away from that, and you should be fine. And if you get Projection, step into the little blue marker on the ground near you and soak it up. So pretty much constantly throughout the fight, there will be 3 random raid members selected, and they will be given the Gift of the Titans debuff. This lasts for 20 seconds, and while it is active, you will be immune to all forms of Pride gain throughout the duration of the debuff. So this is very useful in many situations. In addition to that, the 3 players that are afflicted by Gift of the Titans, if they stand within 8 yards of one another, they will all gain the Power of the Titans buff, which increases their healing, damage, and haste by 15% for the duration, and it lasts 15 seconds. So for the most part, as you see here, your raid will want to be stacked up on top of one another so that Gift of the Titans players are automatically within 8 yards and instantly gain that Power of the Titans buff whenever it's applied. This will require some movement at precise timings based on other effects that will happen in a moment we'll talk about. But for the most part, this will benefit your raid and increase your damage and healing appropriately. So closely related to Gift of the Titans is Mark of Arrogance. And this is cast on random raid members throughout the fight, and it's a dot that lasts indefinitely. It does not have a duration. Instead, it can be dispelled with single target magic dispels. So you cannot use area of effect dispels like Revival or Mass Dispel. Therefore, this is a healer-focused ability. Your healers should just dispel this, but doing so will give them 5 Pride. So the basic rule is a healer should only dispel Mark of the Arrogance when he or she has Gift of the Titans active. This will, of course, make them immune to Pride gains, and allow that player to dispel freely without gaining the pride from it. Now, during the fight, fairly infrequently, the Shah will use self-reflection, which, when cast, will spawn a series of ads under random raid members. So here you can see he's about to cast it, and there you can see the reflection ads that are popping up. So, assuming your raid is using a stacking method, which you should probably do, as soon as those appear, if you have nameplates turned on, it's especially easy to see them, you'll need to move to the side quickly. You have 2 seconds to get out of melee range of those when they spawn. If you remain in melee range and a reflection appears near you, you'll gain 5 pride in addition to taking damage. So, if you're stacked up, once they appear, you have 2 seconds, just step to the side. Once they actually have spawned after those 2 seconds, you can move back in melee range without much danger. So just stun them and AE them down after that. Now, if you look on the left of the screen, you can see a manifestation of pride there. And this is an ad that will always spawn on along the west wall of the room. And they spawn one at a time. While they're active, they'll cast a bolt on random raid members that can be interrupted, but if it is not interrupted, that player will gain 5 pride. So it's important that you have a DPS or 2 ready for those spawns to quickly interrupt those casts. In addition, the 2 players nearest to the manifestation when it dies will automatically gain 5 pride. This is not a big deal, but if you want to control it even more, have 2 players that are afflicted with Gift of the Titans be certain to be the closest players nearest to the manifestation when it dies. Because they're immune to pride, they won't gain any, and you'll be fine. Next, we have Corrupted Prison, which is another core mechanic. So if you watch here closely, I'm going to move over to the left side where the green marker is and stand just outside of one of the lock mechanisms. You can see the 3 little blue lock mechanisms on the ground. As soon as the explosion goes off from a Corrupted Prison cast, 2 of those mechanisms randomly will be activated and they'll turn orange. This requires 2 players to step onto the mechanisms, 1 on each, to break the imprisoned player out and free them. For every second that the player is prisoned, they'll gain 5 pride and take some damage. So it's important to have a nice system set up to handle this easily. The way our raid does it is to essentially have 3 players assigned to each prison location. The prisons are always one to the west and one to the east. And so each player has an assigned lock position. And when prison goes off, they step onto the lock, and then you're free to break the player out. If your lock does not activate, you can move over to a currently activated one quickly and break the person right away. So that's the imprisoned mechanic. Once it's done, you have a while before the next one comes up, so you can go back to your normal stack position. The final major mechanic is Unleashed, which occurs at 30% health of Shah Pride. He will cast this ability, and upon completion, everyone's pride is reset back to 0. However, from that point forward, there's a soft enrage. This is when you'll want to use your DPS cooldowns and Bloodlust and all that. Every 9 seconds, everyone in the raid will gain 5 pride. So the next time Swelling Pride occurs, everyone will have to dodge the purple bolts on the ground. The next time after that, everyone will have either projection or of a pride, and so on. So you have a short period in which you have to kill the Shah Pride after this 30% Unleashed occurs. But other than that, this really covers everything for the normal quick raid guide. So good luck, and thanks for watching.